Hey guys, what's up? How y'all doing? I'm here to talk to you guys about episodes 3, 4, and 5 on Nanatsu no Taizai, Mokushiroku no Yonkishi, or the 7 Deadly Sins, the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. I'm gonna talk to you guys about episodes 3, 4, and 5. I was gonna stick to only to 3 and 4, but after watching the 4th one, I go why not go for 5 and make it a nice cliffhanger for until the next weekend. So if anything else, let's just get this started. Let's start with episode 3. We have to it that Percival's duel continues with Pelagard, and we get to see Percival's magic being a little more unique compared to everyone else's. When we see Percival in trouble in terms of Pelagard's fire magic, which is pirate, I believe, in terms of the subtitles that are shown on a different site whatsoever, we get to see that Percival will later on manage to overcome it and has these cute little mini golems having to stop Pelagard and so forth. Of course, Pelagard is not bothered by them and blows all of them off with his fire magic ability, which I thought it was pretty funny and hilarious. We have to it. Donnie tries to interrupt the duel and tells Percival to run. Eventually, we get to see a little pink fox show up and escapes with Donnie and Percival. We get to see that the fox tells Percival that you are one of the destined 4 Nights of the Apocalypse that's supposed to bring an end to the world, etc. Of course, Donnie and Percival were actually very doubtful of this, saying, "Hey man, I don't believe you one bit," so kind of say. And then the fox says, "Hey, how about I help you out and I will get you to where your father is, okay?" We have to it. Percival goes "Wait a minute, you know my dad?" He goes "Yeah, I know your dad very well." Eventually, there will be a meeting with the Knights of Camelot, I believe, involving Ironside and Pelagard. We get to see that these two are acquainted with each other, and of course, the other Knights of Camelot too. There was a meeting involving a prophecy of what the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse will look like. One with golden magic, one with a mixture of demon and angel blood or goddess blood. The other one that's able to shapeshift or transform into anyone, and the other one with bird looking like hair whatsoever, etc. We have to Ironside and Pelagard talk with each other about the boy that Pelagard met and Ironside failed to kill, We have to it that Ironside gets upset that Pelagard did not try to kill him or something like that. And Pelagard believes, "Hey, how about we turn him into an ally? It'd be a waste if we kill him off, And Ironside gets upset about this and makes a strike on Pelagard, but Pelagard effortlessly just blocks his attack. Ironside tells Pelagard to watch out and kill this guy the next time because they are not playing around. They are very, very dangerous, that kind of thing. And we go back to Sin with the fox, which is Sin, obviously, which is called Sin, I believe, etc. Sorry, I guess I gave it away. We have to it that Percival and Donnie will later on don't believe the fox's words or something like that. Like I said, I call it Sin because that's its actual name, which I think was not supposed to be revealed until much later, or it was just revealed now. I guess I don't pay attention enough because I already know what's going to happen. Other than that, the fox or Sin tells Percival that come along, I'll help you get to Camelot, and we're gonna go to Kingdom of Leon dispersed, Although Percival is actually excited for some adventure, Donnie is very doubtful. But other than that, we have to it that these two will later on go into a location where it's kind of in a forest whatsoever. Percival, a little hungry, decides to "Hey, how about we all have a competition kind of thing, Eventually, Percival will later on wander off while Donnie is trying to hunt with the bow, which he sucks at, and then he accidentally hits a giant, which is Dolores later on, with her name being revealed. And Percival, he enters a place that's called the Gorge that's pretty much dangerous whatsoever, and we get to see Percival doing a little hunting fun spree whatsoever, and he later on hears a call for help, that kind of thing. Eventually, because of what's happening here and there, we have to it that Percival ends up finding the person who's calling for help, and Percival manages to get that creature out of the binds. And this other person named Nasians, which later on that person's name will later on be revealed in the next episode, ends up capturing Percival and decides to turn him into a guinea pig whatsoever, etc. So that's about episode 3. Now we're going to get on to episode 4, So pretty much this is where, that that Nasians is trying to turn Percival into a guinea pig to have him test out a couple things here and there. And of course, like Percival will later on take on the medicine that was actually supposed to be a little dangerous. But Percival seems to be doing fine whatsoever, etc. Now, let's get to the scene with like Donnie and Sin along with Dolores and the other fairies. The other fairies actually tell him the story about what Nasians is, and that they consider him kind of evil, you know, because of what he's been doing here and there, etc. Of course, Donnie and Sin, very worried, decide to go after Percival, but Percival seems to be doing okay himself, you know, that kind of thing. And we get to know along the way of like what happens of Nasian's backstory, you know, that kind of thing. As for Nasian, you know, he is actually shocked to see Percival taking on a poison that was pretty dangerous for him, and realizing that Percival was doing okay, he decides to take it himself, and actually is fine as well. We get to know a little backstory about this gorge that has a lot of ingredients in the forest, you know, kind of thing. And we get to know the reason why Nasians is trying to help out the forest, which the fairies believe he's trying to destroy it, which is not really is the case. We get to know that there was a human named Ordo who apparently has a very fondness of like a natural ingredients, you know. And he will say hello to the fairies and say hello to Dolores, which is the lost giant girl whatsoever. And later on we get to see Nasians taken in as a baby that was left at the gorge, you know, which is pretty sad whatsoever, you know. And we get to see down the line, you know, eventually that when Ordo disappeared, it kind of went pretty weird whatsoever, you know. As for Nasians, you know, he was pretty much dissed on by the fairies whatsoever about like for actually trying to destroy the gorge whatsoever, you know. But that was not really the case. In other words, like the fairies and so forth actually misunderstood what Nasians was trying to do, and we get to see what Nasians' true goal was. After taking in that poison that Percival drank whatsoever, we get to see that Nasians was trying to repair the gorge to its beauty, you know, and that's what he really did. His ability is involving venom mixing, you know. Whatever venom or poison he drinks, he'll remember it. His body or magic ability will be able to remember it and later on like apply it to many attacks whatsoever, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. One thing's for certain is that like the gorge looks like it's safe very nicely here and there, but unfortunately there's another problem. We get to see that there's a creature that looked like Ordo and wants to destroy the forest, you know, and we get to see who is pretty much responsible behind it, which was later on revealed in the next episode whatsoever. So yeah, this is where the next episode comes in, episode 5 whatsoever, and so forth. We get to see that that Ordo was transformed into a monster by a holy knight of Camelot, which later on is revealed in this episode, which I don't bother remembering his name because, like I said, or something like that, repeating myself in many episodes, that sometimes, unless they have an impact or so, they're not really that important, you know? So yeah. Anyways, we get to see the Holy Knight show up and orders Ordo, who transformed him into a monster, to do his bidding and destroy the gorge whatsoever. As for Percival, he doesn't give up, and later on, even though he was in a critical injured state, he will later on, like, summon the magic that he used against Pelagard in episode 3 whatsoever, and ends up taking on a powerful advantage against the Holy Knight, you know? We have to it that Percival manages to land a hit on him and ask him, why the heck would you do such a thing, huh? And the Holy Knight confessed that the guy, Ordo, was helping out all kinds of races and should only help humans, you know? Etc. That was his sin, and that's his freaking criminal record right there. We have to it, Percival was really upset about this and says, so that's it? You do something really stupid and petty just because of that kind of thing? He goes like, what the hell would you understand, huh? That kind of thing. Eventually, we have to it that he ends up, the Holy Knight can control the weather in a certain way, I guess, and ends up doing some damage against Percival. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't really doing much because Percival's magic is such a different side. It's just a different story. We have to it that the Holy Knight realizes that that Percival, the one that he is trying to take on right now, is actually a Four Knights of the Apocalypse. He thought in a stupid, arrogant way that he could take down Percival, but with the help of Sin having to give him an idea or advice on how to use his magic, later on defeat him, you know, and he gets blasted away, which his status is yet unknown. But whatever the case may be, he could be alive because that's just how it is, you know. Other than that, we get to see Oro in that ugly monster looking form, you know, which apparently like Nasians is really upset knowing that he is not back to normal, and Percival is really sad because he made a promise to Nasians that will turn your grandpa back to the way he was, you know, but that did not become the case until Sin shows up and ends up finding the staff that turned Oro into a monster, destroys it. Oro goes back to normal. Nasians hugs him and cries tremendously, seeing that like Oro is okay and everyone else is okay too, you know, etc. We have to it that Percival looks on in happiness, etc. and so forth, and we get to see Sin and Donnie, which apparently one of the characters that decides to tag along with Percival, ends up having to like talk about that freakish monster transformation, including the staff. And we have to it the fox or Sin reveals that the item they use is actually like is a chaos staff whatsoever. Whatever the case may be, Percival gets his resolve wanting to take down Arthur once and for all, and that he's really sick and tired of seeing how people are being treated by King Arthur, and that he's not just going to beat his father up, but also King Arthur, you know. Other than that, thought it was pretty cool. There was some funny moments here and there. As for Nasians, he decides to come along with Percival, although like Percival was really worried about this because what about your grandpa? He says, well, and we had to, and Nasian's like, hey, don't let it bother you, because my grandpa told me like I should go out there and like figure out how the world works, you know, that kind of thing. Eventually, as time continues on in the episode, Oro and the others are pretty happy to see Nasians go on another adventure, you know, and so forth. Although Donnie was against the idea, the fox or Sin says otherwise, you know, and we get to see that that Percival's like, okay, why don't you come along? Let's go, you know? Let's go travel together, etc. And Nasians, under his hat, ends up having to smile a bit and is actually very happy, you know? Which I go, isn't that very cute, you know, that kind of thing. Other than that, thought it was pretty awesome to see, like, how the kids doing, you know? I mean, who else likes to see some kids being okay? And then there's a post-credit scene around like episode 5 involving Ironside getting ready to go into like action, and we get to see we see a girl along with like her father greeting him, although the girl seems very uneasy around. So yeah, pretty late the way how I'm doing this, but I was kind of busy with myself along with like that live stream I did today, you know, that kind of thing. So anyways, looking forward to next episode, you know. Looking forward to the next few episodes of what's to come, you know. I'm surprised I actually did 3 episodes instead of 2, but we'll have to see how that turns out, because I still got a couple more weeks left before like when the second season shows up. So yeah, until then, people, I'll see you guys in the next video. So I'm out for Zero. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace out. Bye bye. Toot toot.